The captain of the courts has joined us. Good morning, Captain.
Good morning, Lily. You know one interesting thing about courts?
Tell me.
Yeah. So when things are happening in the country, and then everybody is fighting, everybody is having disagreement, people are having a fight on that, then you are just relaxed. Because you know that definitely they will end up in court.
You just be waiting patiently for them.
For all that is happening, all the fighting, before you realize somebody is in court. So that is how it is. You fight or do all the fighting, but at the end of the day, whatever you want to get, whatever you want to say,
you will have to seek an interpretation of the law.
Absolutely.
Anyway, let's interpret the laws.
Yes.
Especially now that our court, most of our various courts have risen.
On legal vacation.
Yeah.
Yes. So the courts are on legal vacation. The vacation court are sitting. The district and the circuit court are in operations. But yesterday, the Chief Justice has been performing some more duties in relation to getting some more courts to get some activities done. And you notice that the court have got jurisdiction. For instance, when you go to the district court and there's a dispute, the sum ranging from 1 to 500,000 Ghana cedis, you have to go to the district court.
Yeah.
Any sum above 500,000 to 2 million, you go to the circuit court. Then from 2 million going, you go to the high court and all that. But they are like SNIT. SNIT has a system with the judiciary where companies who refuse to pay SNIT, refuse to pay for their staff and other stuff, they take them to court to pay recovery or to force them to pay such amount. One other institution has also been given that particular opportunity, bills microcredits, formerly quick credits and investments microcredits. Now they have a specialized court, and yesterday the Chief Justice have been in fact launching commissioning 12 courts, 8 in Accra and then 4 in Kumasi. And what these courts will be doing, district courts will be doing, is to have special look at cases, monies that were given to people for bills microcredit, to recover these monies of a sort. And it's a special way of focusing, because the judicial looked at the case counts at the various district court, and they realized that bills microcredit has a lot of cases to recover, and those cases have choked.
It reminds me of the era where you see a lot of their cars going around when they were quick credit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, trying to recover loans from people.
So they have dragged a lot of people to the court, and because of the traditional cases, the other cases and all that, it has made the system very choked. And when they make the count, they notice that bills credits have a lot of cases. For that matter, they made that proposal. The chief judge looked at the law. The people within the justice delivery system looked at it and said to be fitting enough, just like SNIT has a specialized court. And this time around, they will sit in the afternoon to 8 p.m., especially the court in Accra. And then some will sit also on Saturday. You know, the SNIT court sit on Saturday and all that. So yesterday, Justice Gertrude Erabai Saba Sake Tukuno, the Chief Justice, as by law established, was at the La District Court. And then she has been commissioning this very specialized court. And let's listen to what the Chief Justice had to say in relation to the establishment.
Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, have done tremendously well.
Debt recovery courts and cooperation of citizens and the businesses involved, the nation can confront head-on and in a speedy manner the challenge of the nearly 55,000 claims that bills has given notice of filing in the lower courts. I think now you've done 30-something thousand, then you say you have more to file.
Yes, very so much more.
It is to be noted that though bills or quick credit may have provoked this initiative, the courts are a national asset, open to adjudicating claims from all financial institutions in order that the time value of money claims are not eroded by delays in the courts. Indeed, the provision of Saturday courts have been operational for several years now and serve primarily the needs of national agencies that need to recover sums of money from significant numbers of citizens and businesses, such as SNIT. It is this already existing template that is being used for the small claims debt recovery courts. We recommend quick credit or bills for accepting to support the operation of these 12 pilot courts to enable them to perform their constitutional duty with speed and efficiency, just as SNIT has supported the operation of Saturday courts for years. I encourage all microfinance companies that require support of increased services to inform the Office of the Judicial Secretary to enable these extra hour courts to effectively serve the needs of the whole nation. On this note, it is my singular honor and pleasure to declare the Small Claims Debt Recovery Courts duly launched in the Greater Accra and Ashanti regions of.
Okay, you can see that. Okay, so that's Chief Justice Gertrude Isabasaki Tokuno.
Yes.
And the establishment of the microcredit courts.
Yes,
right?
so specialized courts, district courts, and then they'll be seeing to recovery of small debt. So if you have gone to Bill's Credit to take 500,000,
those of you who owe Momo, those of you who owe, you better sit up.
So I'm sure.
I don't know if these courts will also have adjudication over recovering all these mobile money.
You know the mode of how the MTN system is. I think that it's a system. It's an area that will have to be explored. Will have to be
because it doesn't
taken
belong
out.
to MTN.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
it's a third party.
If the institution decide and the law allows that, I'm sure that once they approach the judiciary and say that we have a lot of people who have taken quick loan from us
I'm
and
sure
all that.
Ghana will be sent to court.
You see a lot of people who will be very
it's
hot
something
in relation to.
I wish you can research and
Yes,
then update us
I will
subsequently.
follow up on that.
Because
and
I
will
want
check.
a lot of you to be very judicial.
So now
in
when you are
payment of
sending
your
Momo
debt.
to somebody, you just have to triple check to find out whether the number is active.
You know?
The moment the person says, I have an issue with my number,
Then you have to send it to a different number.
You have to be very, very careful. If you do that, you might be paying some debt and all that. So this court will specialize in recovery. So Bill's Credit will go to court with people who are owing and then recover such case, specialized areas. So when you go to court, all the cases that will be lined up in those times that the court are supposed to sit,
it will be an interesting sight to behold because now their cars will not be going into people's homes and seizing their manko and fufu. Now you go to court.
You go to court, yes.
Yeah.
So whatever action that you take, you need to bear the consequences. Once you have assessed the loan, you need to pay with the necessary what do you call it, interest and other stuff, so that another person
can also
have access to them. But once you default in payment and you also don't show that good faith, that means that you have to be taken to court for you to go and answer over there. In relation to SNIT, there were a lot of situations like that. People default, they will take them to court, some that you pay with some extra and all that. So once, and typically of a Ghanaian, if you owe a Ghanaian, and you don't ask the person for your money, forget it. Not that the money is not there.
When you lend the Ghanaian money, they think of it as a dash.
A dash.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
People come to you with all humility, oh, I need some money, and they come with very beautiful stories. The moment the money goes into their hands, taking it back is now a struggle.
Yeah,
they think that,
right?
oh, this person has it, so, and they never talk about it until you ask them. I find that very, very worrying.
It is not a good habit. Yes. Even if you don't have it, just find a way.
Exactly,
to
talk to the person and say,
people do not do that.
I gave you this specific date, but as of now, I don't have it, so give me some more time. It only shows good faith.
It reminds me of one of my madams in primary school saying, you are not well cultured.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, people lack integrity in this country. I say it all the time.
If you are well cultured, I'm sure that that particular, you find a way because you know that the person also needs money. And once the person finds that opportunity to give it to you, definitely you need to give it back. Even if the person wants to dash it to you or keep it.
Yes.
It's best.
Yeah, than to assume that the person has given it to you as a dash or as a gift. Anyway, prior to the CJ speaking, I saw the board chair of Bill's
Yes. Richard Ni Ama Kwe
Okay.
In fact, his company, in fact, inspired the establishment of this specialized court. And let's go and listen to the board chair of Bills Microcredit.
Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, have done tremendously well. You see, this is a clear, classical case of public-private sector partnership. I think that when the private sector and the public sector come together to solve the needs of society, the society at large and the people of Ghana are those that will win. So as a company, over the years, there has been tremendous growth in the demand for our products and services. In fact, we have been serving hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians with financial products throughout the length and breadth of the country. And this has been contributing so much to the socio-economic development of our country. You would agree with me that a company that is growing at an alarming rate definitely would have issues that would want to resolve, or there would be some challenges, and some of these challenges would have to be addressed at the court of law. And so I can say that over the few months past, we have a huge backlog of cases that we have filed at the court that has choked the courts, and the current structure of the judicial service at the district courts is not structured in a way to hold or to serve these cases. I'm sure that is what has triggered the Chief Justice, her Ladyship herself, and the entire team to rise to the occasion and make sure that justice, as we all want, is not only served, but is delivered in an expeditious manner and also in a fair manner. Because as we said, when justice is delayed, then justice is denied. So such a court that has been set up today is welcome by Bills. For us at Bills, we think that it is something that is in the right direction. Today, I can confidently say that as an investor, our confidence has been boosted. And you see, when the confidence of investors are boosted in the country, there's only one outcome. The outcome is that the investors would continue to even invest more. And when investors invest more, you can imagine what will happen. The people of Ghana and society at large will benefit. So I think that today is a great day for us as a company, for our dear customers, and for the society at large.
Okay, so that's the board chair of Bills
Richard
Microcredit.
Ni Amakwe, board chair of Bills Microcredit, yesterday when the Chief Justice commissioned those courts for them to be able to have their cases. So all those that they have lent monies to, they are now coming at you fully. Because those times they go to court and their cases add up to the other cases in court. And the court noticed that if you look at the cases in some of these courts, you have microcredit cases more. So they have more cases. And if you look at the percentage count, and interestingly, we have been told that if you look at the whole situation, money that the people owe, 5,000 Ghana cedi, over 70% of those cases, 5,000 Ghana cedi, petty cash pay, so that you get it another one when you want, they are not paying. So this time around, when the court is sitting, all the cases that will be called within those specialized courts will be Bills micro credit cases. So these are to expedite action and to ensure that things happen within there. But of course, where the exercise was commissioned, the landlord was there. And guess who the landlord was?
The MC.
The MC is Solomon Kote Nikwe for La Dadekotopon. Let's go and hear from what he also has to say in relation to this exercise.
Let us embrace the principle of integrity, transparency, and fairness to build a community with an effective and equitable justice system. I'm very confident that the introduction of small claim debt recovery courts in our legal system will be beneficial to all citizens, most especially individuals and businesses in the financial markets. As an assembly, We will leverage on the establishment of the court to improve our debt recovery activities, most especially in the areas of defaults and areas in property rates payments. We will continue to support and collaborate with the courts and the small claim debt recovery courts to ensure that they operate in a decent place and offices to enable them give their...
That is Solomon Kote Nikwe, the MC for Ladma or La Dade Kotopong. Yeah, he is the landlord at where the exercise was commissioned by the Chief Justice. And yesterday you have the Judicial Secretary also present, Justice Pamela Quarantine, a Justice of the Court of Appeal was also present there. And you have some of the district court magistrates also present. And staff of Bills microcredit were all present, and so staff, some directors within the judiciary. In fact, we're supposed to have the Attorney General, the Ghana Bar Association, but yesterday they were unable to show up there. But of course, it didn't stop the exercise from going on. So these are the things coming up. 12 courts in all, 8 in Accra and 4 in Kumasi. All of them will be dealing with issues with bill microcredit in relation to those who owe. Go and pay your money, else they are coming out after you. Giddy, 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 giddy.
Please, if you owe, add them. Anyway, Captain, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lily.
That's it for court today. It's now time for Inside Out. On Inside Out, we focus on safety across our various institutions. Today, we're focusing on fire safety measures in Ghana's parliament.
How long will it take for the sick fire tender to return here to be on standby to protect the lives of parliamentarians, workers of parliament, and everybody who comes to parliament? Should we experience another fire outbreak that's of a higher magnitude than what was witnessed in July 2017? Okay. My quest for information about the lingering questions on my mind. One has got to do with the fire engine that is missing completely in Parliament, and then also the entrance to Job 600, which is quite shorter than the average height of a turntable that is used by the National Fire Service. Well, when I went to the fire service post here in Parliament, the officers there, including the commander, directed me to the regional fire command. So on we go to the Greater Accra Regional Fire Command for answers. I wish me luck. Just behind me is the fire engine that services the Parliament of Ghana. And as you can see, the head is tilted, signaling that there is some works being done. Of course, as we were told earlier, this engine was faulty, and so we had to come for servicing. Of course, the head is tilted. This is at the Greater Accra Regional Fire Service Command, basically. So I'll engage the regional fire officer and then get to understand exactly what has been done. We can see that there's some work being done. Just tell us exactly what's happening.
The Parliament vehicle was brought in. We worked on it, it went, and other faults came up. So it was brought back. Our men have worked on it, but hearing an unusual sound, we preferred bringing in some specialized people who are specialized with the commis engine, just to help us identify what the issue is. The gentleman was working on the car. Then there was an emergency at Arcade Fire Station, and the towing car we had here had to go and perform a service. It came back with some defects. So looking at the issues, we will need this recovery track should any of our vehicles be faulty. So we asked that the specialist who is working on the Parliament car should please suspend. And I think he started with this other one 2 days ago. So once he finished with the recovery truck, he's coming back to the Parliament appliance, because we want to get it done. Initially, we felt we could even finish it by July ending. Yes, but because of this other one. And even as yesterday, the chief officer was on me to make sure that that vehicle goes. But because he's the same person to help us detect what that particular noise is, he's been able to detect, but now he has to go into the engine. But we pleaded with him to suspend this one, work on the recovery track, because we equally need it. Should we have any problem with our tanks, especially where you have water in it, it is difficult for us to get a car to tow it. So we have to ensure that our towing track is working, then we can come on this one.
Let's move and take a look at the recovery track, because indeed there are some individuals, technicians are working on the recovery track. But before we get there, you talk about the Kede incident. We told some of your men got involved, and then there were a few injuries recorded. Was there a casualty?
The chief officer went there, and we were told that they are not very okay. Once it's an accident, virtually a part of them would be affected, but they are receiving treatment. Yes.
So this is the recovery engine, the one that in a layman's language we say towing track.
Yes.
And so this is the one that the technicians are working on.
Yes.
Okay. One other incident, and that I gathered from Parliament, is that as we speak, if there is any fire incident within the job 600, and that's a 12-story building, the turntable, the 70-meter turntable, will not be able to access the inner perimeter of that office. This came up in 2017 when there was a fire incident. Years down the line, I'm told nothing has been done about it.
There is an entrance and there is an exit. It is the entrance that has an arc on it, but the exit has the top opened, so we can equally access it from that angle.
So you can use the exit as the entrance,
yes,
if need be.
Normally, during an emergency, you look for the ideal way to use. So once we have the exits and the entrance, even if we have the arc on the frontage, the alternate exits is okay for us to use.
Yes. But the ideal situation is for something to be done about the arc, because I am aware that a request has been put in for that to happen.
Oh, you know that?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. I am not privy to that.
Okay, because I'm told the request came from the fire service that there's a need for something to be done about the arc.
Then I believe the authorities knows better than I do. And since I took over from somebody, virtually the person would have started something before my coming in. But with the current situation, I don't want it to look as if there is an emergency on that premises, fire service cannot go, because there is an exit on the side. It's also an alternate escape, and we can use that. But if they are able to remove the arc from the entrance, we'll be happier, because from where we may be coming from would also determine. And what I would say is that in fire, every minute counts. So,
finally, are you able to tell us roughly when the Parliament fire engine will return to its destination?
We would plead and appeal to the public that they should give us some time. Yes, we know Parliament is Ghana, because every part of Ghana is represented there. But we are assuring our clients and our stakeholders that you are our first precious people to look at. Equally, we wish our parliamentarians are safe. So we are doing everything possible to get this car back to Parliament. Thank you.
Regional Fire Commander, of course, telling us exactly what's happening relative to fire engine located at the premises of Parliament to ensure that should there be any fire incident, there is swift attention. Ibrahim Al-Hassan, coming to you from the regional headquarters of the Ghana Fire Service.
All right, so that's it for the big issue. We focused on fire safety measures in Ghana's parliament. It's now time for the breakfast review. And you know I like it on Wednesdays because it's an all-female ensemble. Welcome back. Like I mentioned, it's an all-women affair this morning. This morning I've been joined by Dr. GHOne. She needs to pay me because it's the second time she's appearing before me. And in the same seat.
Yes, actually.
She's a member of the NPP Communications team. Rodeling Ayana is the leading member for the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. And Ajoy Japoma Ansong is a member of the NDC Communications team. Good morning, ladies. Good to have you.
Good morning.
I hope you're doing well.
We're trying so.
Are you well rested after the holiday?
No, not at all.
Well, that makes all four of us, doesn't it? Anyway, so there are a number of issues to unpack, particularly the Founders' Day debate. I started with you on Monday on why the need to have a figurehead or why the need to even go about this particular debate, especially with the apostrophe, whether the apostrophe should come before the S or after the S. Why do we seek to politicize who the founder of Ghana is? Because in one breath, we've heard President Akufo-Addo saying that, well, Nkrumah was a major actor. However, there are other unsung heroes. And then on the other hand, former President Mohammed says, when we are able to clinch power, we will rewrite whatever has been done by President Akufo-Addo. Why do we seek to politicize who the founder of Ghana is? Is there a need for it? Let me start with you, Ikea, since I started with you on Monday.
Yeah, so I think on Monday we discussed this issue at length. I think the president was absolutely right in his comments because, I mean, it's a little disingenuous to think that the whole Ghana could have been founded by one person or the efforts were of a singular person. I think Dr. Kwame Nkrumah came to Ghana somewhere in November 1947, and then we achieved independence in 1957, right? Are we saying that the struggle for independence took just 10 years? How about the people from the UGCC who brought him here from Liverpool? I think that's where he boarded the ship from to come to Ghana. They funded that expedition. They funded his political activities here. The struggle for independence had already begun before Dr. Kwame Nkrumah came. And we all are also aware, like I said on Monday, all the other people that struggled, some people actually died for this cause. So are we trying to sideline all of them in an attempt to politicize this issue? I think that's exactly what is happening now. So the president says something, and ex-President Mahama, who is trying to campaign and be our president again, holds on to it, which I find, you know, a little mediocre. I mean, you're supposed to be on your campaign preaching what you can do for us, your policies and everything, and then what you tend to is a reactionary agenda, reacting to everything that seems to happen. How is this an issue? And I find a whole segment of the population of Ghana having an active argument about this, that, oh, it's just Dr. Kwame Nkrumah versus... We're not trying to take away...
Is that not what our history books taught us?
They taught us that it was just Nkrumah?
No, but they taught us that he was the figurehead. I mean, in our history books, we learned about the Big Six. We learned about other people that were very active in the struggle for independence. Why does it seem... I ask this because of comments and statements. Why does it seem that President Akufo-Addo is seeking to project J.B. Dankwa in this regard?
I don't think he's seeking to project J.B. Dankwa. After President Akufo-Addo took office, we've seen the refurbishments that have happened at the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum right here in Accra. Is that somebody that seems to be projecting J.B. Dankwa? I don't think so. What he is trying to... It was a statement he made that it's a Founders' Day celebration, not the one founder, all the founders. Before this this time, the Big Six were addressed as the Big Six. Yeah. It's not something that just started. It's not something President Akufo-Addo started. It's something that started then, during their struggles for independence. When they were all arrested, like I said on Monday here, they were all arrested. People were shot because they attempted to approach the castle. There were riots. They are WAM riots. They were organized by the UGCC. So to now try and have a deliberate attempt to sideline all the other people that fought for independence, I think is a little unfortunate, especially at this point in time. It's an election year. It is very important to talk about where we came from and to understand the roots of things. But to make this a topic of conversation, honestly, I don't understand. We would rather want to know from the Vice President his account of his period in government. And not to digress, but I was reading something last night as well. You know George Washington in the US, he's one of the most popular people, founders of the US. You know he didn't even sign the Declaration of Independence. Are you saying because of that he wasn't part? It's very important to admit and appreciate the struggle of everybody who was involved in the endeavor, and that's all we are saying.
But back then, the UGCC at the time didn't think we needed independence then. If you've seen the letter that J.B. Dankwa wrote, he said, the man in Nkrumah says we need independence now. But for those of us in the UGCC, we believe that it should be a gradual thing. Nkrumah stood his grounds. He said independence now, and we gained independence.
Okay, so on that, I don't think the view of the UGCC, it was just a difference in opinion on how the battle for independence should be fought. One, the UGCC held the position of, negotiation, let's talk with the British, let's slowly sever ties with them, while Nkrumah wanted to create tensions, create a situation in the country where we were ungovernable, making independence a quicker achievement. And there were other people involved, like the Northern People's Party. They preferred a federal system of government. The Ashantis preferred, I think it was a difference of opinions on how the country should be run. Not necessarily that they didn't want independence. Why would they start the movement in the first place? UGCC started the movement. Why would they bring in Nkrumah? I think it was a difference of opinion, a difference on who should lead the charge. Not really about they didn't want independence. And for that agenda to be sold now, I find it quite unfortunate. It is like a disappointment to the struggles of everybody there. These people went to jail. I don't know, now we live in times of freedom, so we don't understand what it is to have your rights and your freedom taken away from you. Even when, I remember the times where we had internet problems and we couldn't use our phones for one day. Those of us in the Gen Zs, we were literally losing it because we are just no use, and that's one freedom we've come to be accustomed to taken away. Imagine being put in a cell. These people went through this. People died, like I said on Monday. Sergeants Date Lamte, Corporal Tipo, and they actually died. They were shot. Their lives ended. They ceased to exist. So to try and rubbish all their achievements and their accomplishments and their what they contributed to the fight, I think is very unfair. And it's unfair to our history as well, because these things are well documented. The issue, during the election in 1960 and all, the issue was in a difference of opinion on how things should be run, who should run things. So yeah, I think it's clear there.
Okay, Rodlin.
Good morning, Ghana. I wish we could be talking about the bread and butter issues that is affecting this country, the bad structure of governance that has brought us to our knees, instead of talking about Founders Day. From where I sit, there's only one founder, that's Society for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The president should not have even mentioned it, if, from what Ikuya is saying, there was no need for him to mention it. He should have just talked about founders, done everything, but not be specific that where he sits, from where he's coming from, he would not say that there was a founder. I would also, it's two ways. I can also sit here and say that in the future, when President Akufo-Addo leaves office, and somebody asked me about Ghana, I could say that President Akufo-Addo was the worst president Ghana ever had. That's my constitutional right. So I'll take it that it is his constitutional right to say that he would not accept Nkrumah as the founder.
He didn't say that, did he?
No, as founder.
He said there was more than one person.
No,
Even with that, he still admitted that Nkrumah is a major actor.
Yes, he did. But he still said that he would not accept him as the founder. But he was a major actor. And I am saying that I could also one day say that he was the worst president Ghana ever had. And that would be my right. Okay? But let's look at it this way. UGCC. Whenever we are talking, everybody says UGCC. By 1957, there was no UGCC. Right? Am I right? Yes. So what was their contribution by 1957 when Kwame Nkrumah was standing at the whatever grounds and declared independence, even though it was signed in the parliamentary, in Parliament. It was ratified in Parliament, right? Let me ask. Everybody keeps saying Kwame Nkrumah was brought by the UGCC as what? A paid worker. Yeah? Just like Pa Grant started the UGCC or started a meeting and invited Dankwa. Nobody's saying that. Dankwa was also invited to be part of the UGCC.
Yeah, but nobody's trying to take...
No. I'm only saying. So how come we don't even celebrate Pa Grant? We don't celebrate Pa Grant, but we celebrate Dankwa. You understand? So when we are talking about it, let's put the scales to balance. By 1949, UGCC was nowhere to be found. NLM, Bafwa Koto, I'm sure you've read a lot about him in history. He and Dr. Buzia's one Congress party, one seat he had, Congress party, the NPP, the Northern People's Party. And the Northern People's Party was not in for federalism. No, they were not. The Northern People's Party, the Northern group was a protectorate of the British. And when we were fighting for independence, they were not in favor of federalism. They actually wanted just like, if we're going to go, then you should be in charge of us. You understand? But Kwame Nkrumah was able to convince them. So some members of the NPP, Northern People's Party, joined the UP tradition, and others came to the CPP. The father of your vice president, or our vice president, Mumuni Baumia,
joined the CPP.
Joined the CPP from that group. You understand?
But the NPP continued.
We had all other people. And today, we don't even mention Bafwa Koto. All we hear is Dankwa, Buzia, Dombo. Why is Bafwa Koto? Martimeho, do you know what happened in Kumasi? The struggles you're talking about, when we talk about people going to jail, lives were lost. You understand? Lives were lost. And those people have not, we can't forget them either. So for someone to just come, look, Dankwa has been packaged, rebranded, and everything, and he's still who he is. He was just a member of the UGCC. He was never ever a member of Parliament because he never won a seat. You understand? So let's leave it there. If we stand today and we say that we will not recognize Kwame Nkrumah as founder, that's our preference, individual preferences. But as Ghanaians, for most of us, we see him as such. So I am thinking that at this time in our history, where we are not able to cater for ourselves, where we are debt-ridden, where IMF is all over us and we cannot even feed ourselves, where one ball of kenke is selling for 5 cedis. This is not the time for us to be sitting down and talking about a founder and the founders. Kwame Nkrumah is no longer with us. He's long gone. So there's no reason why our topics should be centered around a founder, Kwame Nkrumah. We've had that argument and that narration. Now, in fact, if you ask kids today, they don't even know our history anymore. You are not sure whether they are being taught the history from the book of Edubwahe, who wrote, without mentioning Kwame Nkrumah, a whole history of Ghana, no mention of Kwame Nkrumah. Or we are being taught with a history book written by Michael Okwe, who is still also bent on this same tangent that there was no founder. So depending on which government is in power, the history of Ghana changes. It shouldn't be. I don't think you will go to South Africa and the history is different. They all know that the father of the nation is whom? Nelson Mandela.
Even though there were
other players. That is how it's supposed to be. Look, let's not make this a debate, because no matter what happens, you're talking about the mausoleum. You know why? You know why he had to put in that money? Because everybody who was coming into this country from the diaspora wanted to visit Kwame Nkrumah's gravesite. So we had, and because of the luxury that was going to come, he is somebody that you can sell. We can sell him. We sell Kwame Nkrumah everywhere we go. And therefore, there was the need to make sure that that mausoleum was given a befitting refurbishment that would create and generate more funds. It was one of the reasons. And apart from that, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was a secretary of the CPP at one time. He was a CPP member at one time. You understand? At that time, he knew then that Kwame Nkrumah was the founder. Yes, but this time around that he's president, he doesn't think that he's a founder. You can't have both ways. You can't be tossing yourself left and right. You stick to one side. Dankwa, if you look in some of the books that have been printed, why is it that our children in schools do not have textbooks? It is because some information that is within those textbooks are things that are contentious. Dankwa was an academic, a brilliant lawyer, and Nkrumah was a villain. That is what is written in some of those books that cannot come out now, and our children don't have books. So these are some of the things. I think that it is time for us to stop this whole founders thing and look at ways and means to be inclusive. We should be an all-inclusive people. It doesn't matter whether you're a Chim, whether you're a Shanti, whether you're what. If there's any group of persons who should feel peeved and hurt that they have not been given the honor, it is Bafo Akoto's people, the Ashantis. They have not been given any honor. After all, Busia is from Bonahafo. You understand? But then, days gone, Bonahafo was part of Ashanti, so you will take it as that. And today, we have Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is from Northeast, taking the seat of S.D. Domo, who is from Upper West. Do you get me? So all these things, we as Ghanaians have accepted it as one people. We don't care where you're coming from. We just take it that once you're a Ghanaian, that's it. And that is exactly what Kwame Nkrumah wanted for this country. No tribal. Nobody should go by tribe. You were a Ghanaian first before you were a tribe. So I don't see where every time that there is an MPP government, you know, we have this issue coming up. Always, every time that there's...
But we didn't have this under Kufuor.
We didn't, yeah, because Kufuor is... I mean, let me just state it. Kufuor understood the dynamics. Kufuor traveled to Mali and saw. Ask him when you meet Kufuor what he experienced in Mali. We are sitting here enjoying the 90-day credits from Nigeria because of the goodwill of Kwame Nkrumah. We are enjoying the benefits of Chinese loans because of the goodwill of Kwame Nkrumah. We are enjoying so many things because of that one man, Kwame Nkrumah, that we so always want to denigrate. It's not fair. I don't think Nana Addo would love for us to say that he was the worst president when he leaves office. He would want us to also credit him with something good. So there's no need to always boil. Okay, if you're saying founders, when you start off from the Kotoka International Airport, the first junction that introduces you to Accra, the capital city of Ghana, you will find the Big Six. When you leave that place, you come and find Busia Circle next to 37. Go and see that statue. That is Busia. Dankwa Busia Dombo. Go and look at Busia statue, all in tatters. It just shows the kinds of respect that we give to even our supposed leaders. Then you move from there. If you take your left-hand side, you are going to Akufo-Addo Circle. You move from there, you are going to Dankwa Circle. We've already given credence and recognition to the Big Six. Let Kwame Nkrumah have his day. Let Kwame Nkrumah be. Let him have his day. I expect our president, Nana Addo Dankwa, to be fighting and arguing with GHOne Mahama. No longer Kwame Nkrumah. He's long gone. And his place is carved out in history for him. He's not just a Ghanaian. He's one person, the African man of the millennium. Yeah. And you go to the diaspora, and they are there. From the Manchester Congress of 1945, all these things came out, that he was one kind of person who had what it took to lead a nation to independence. And he did it. Where was Dankwa? Where was UGCC players at that time? Pa Grant was a businessman, a merchant. Yeah. Edward Akufo-Addo had the honor of being a ceremonial president. Akwaje and the rest of them, what else do you want us to do? for people to recognize that this one person was the figurehead and therefore has to take the crown. Let's be realistic. I mean,
okay, Adwa.
Well, good morning to your viewers. Thanks for having me here.
You're welcome.
I mean, listening to Madam Rodlin, the lecture is is interesting. But what I would say is that for this issue about whether or not Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is the founder of Ghana or there are other founders, I say that for every struggle, there is always that one person. For even in a football team, you always have a captain. No matter what, there's always that one person who leads the charge. And so nobody can take away from what Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah has done or the role he played in obtaining independence for us. And then when we talk about the 1948 riot that led to the death of some people, we also know that this route started from the positive action that was initiated by Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And at the time, no, it was him, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who initiated the positive action that led to the series of protests.
GHCC wasn't there at that time.
Yes, on at the time. And then it led to the arrest of him and the 5 others. And then the scripts also tells us that the 5 others all blamed Nkrumah for the protest, and it is why Nkrumah was in prison when he won that election, because all the other 5 were let go, and then Nkrumah was in there until he won that election. And so yes, Nkrumah Osagyefo might have been part of the UGCC at some point, but we all know that UGCC was not the vehicle by which independence was won. Nkrumah, when he wanted to win independence for this country, put together the CPP. It was the CPP that was used. And this is not an attempt to take away from everything that other people might have contributed. It is why we have Independence Day, and we celebrate all these people. But you cannot attempt to put all of them on the same pedestal, because some contributed more than others. And for Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, it is not just Ghanaians who will say the good things that he has done. In other African countries, he was a true Pan-Africanist. And it is obvious that he won that ideological battle with the UGCC, who were mostly against him. And so, like, if somebody said independence now, you said independence in the shortest possible time. Independence now won. You still want to be placed on the same pedestal with him, especially when the history tells us that you were in a way trying to sabotage the whole independence that we obtained. And about the funding of...
Was it sabotaging, or, like Madam Rodlin mentioned, the ideologies were... No, she mentioned that ideologies were different. They believe that, well, if we want to wean ourselves off British rule, we need to take it gradually.
When you were probing earlier, you made reference to some letters that was written by J.B. Dankwa to the Queen, saying that we were not ready to obtain independence. And
it was Obdam.
Yeah, it was
J. Obdam.
Okay,
the colonial office.
So yeah, so some of these things are some of the things that we see as sabotage. And I'd like to say that, you know, people have done things. There have been scripts that has been written. We have learned this over the years. Some of these things you can never change. And I say that history is not made by the current generation. It is made by people who lived in those times, and their accounts is what we continue to go by. And so a person or a president today cannot by himself decide that my parents did so much, and so in honor of my parents or my uncle or somebody, I must alter the history of a country just to please them or to honor them. I think it is not in the right direction. It is said that if you do not know who you are, you may not know where you're going to. So it is important to keep our history out of all these kind of political gimmicks. And then one of my concerns especially is how he attempts to legitimize these things by going ahead to legislate them. So we have a Founders Day of 21st September, which is the birthday of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And then it is changed to 4th August, the date I understand when UGCC was set up. I do not see the significance of that change in date. We are not saying that people did not die for the struggle. We are saying that Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah led the struggle and we won independence through him, and so he is the founder.
Don't you, not to cut you, don't you also think that it is to celebrate all other people? Madam Rodling alluded to the fact that UGCC was founded by George Grant.
Yes, Per Grant.
So does it not also mean that you want to celebrate people like Per Grant, like Akweje, like all the other people,
But
like J.B. Danko?
Yeah, but like she equally said, Per Grant is never mentioned. And I understand that he was one person who single-handedly or with the help of other few people financed the UGCC.
Because he was a businessman.
Yes, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And he, in his write-ups, have admitted several times that Per Grant sponsored him. He's an honest man. So people like that are not even being highlighted that much. But when you come into government and you try to legislate, you are changing, I think, the constitutional day. You change it from 1st July to 4th January to celebrate the 1992 Constitution. Meanwhile, it is not even the first Constitution we are having as a country. And if you want to celebrate Constitutional Day, what's better day than 1st July, which is the day that Ghana was actually ushered into a republican state, or we became a republic. And that is where we had our first constitution. And we've had many constitutions before the 1992 Constitution. And that is not to say that I do not believe that the 1992 Constitution is worthy of celebration. It is, because prior to that, we had a very turbulent time. So, but I think that 1st July is a very, very significant date in our lives as Ghanaians, because it shows when we truly became independent. It is what has allowed even the president to be able to exercise some of his executive powers, because before 1st July, the design of our ruling was such that even after legislating, you still needed permission from the Queen. You needed to go to the Queen for so many things. It was this 1st July, which is very, very significant, that ensured that our presidents are able to exercise certain powers they exercise now. And so to try to change some of these narrative, I mean, I believe that it fits into the narrative that this group of people, which is the president and some few people in government, are trying so hard to change our history in an attempt to dominate the country in a way. It all fits into that narrative, because to be able to properly dominate a people, it is not just about you physically oppressing them, or you using military might over them, or you exploiting them economically. You can also try to dominate them or oppress them by trying to alter their history, by trying to make sure they do not really know who they are. And that is what we are seeing now in our schools, and the kind of contrived narratives we are pushing to teach our children. I do not think it's as well for all of us as a nation. And the issue of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, I also believe that at this point, close to election, where there's so much hardship, I do not think that statement was very necessary to spark such a debate. Because, I mean, people are really going through it. People are really struggling. And then I am beginning to think that it has come into the nature of the NPP and this particular government to try to spark certain unnecessary debates at particular times when they are trying to push an agenda underneath. And we saw when even the bondholders issue came, it was at the time, it was during Christmas when everybody was so busy that they decided to push the haircut thing. And today, they sparked this unnecessary debate when we already know it's a settled fact. We already know who our founder is, and what contribution each person, you know, made towards our independence, and how they have helped in building our laws to this level. Nobody will take it away from them. But as we are here debating on who is founder and who are the founders, they've issued an EI in Parliament that seeks to reclassify about 361 acres of land in the Achimota forest for the Owu family. These are things that came up and generated public uproar. it's dialed down, and now we spark a new debate so as to redirect everybody's mind from whatever is happening, the Japadia documents, the sharing of state properties, the capturing of state properties, and then we all tend, knowing that most Ghanaians are quite emotional about Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And Ghanaians, although even for those of us who've never met him, we've read about him and we've developed so much love for him. And so they know that they can get us emotional to talk about this instead of focusing on the main thing, instead of telling us what you're going to do for us to better our life in this short period that you are in power, instead of us focusing on, very important things, bread and butter issues. So I think this whole debate and this whole statement was very reckless. It was very unnecessary, especially at this time, to bring back and try to legislate. And like His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has said, we know the importance of 21st September, and we know the importance of 1st July. And I believe that as Ghanaians, we shouldn't lose these dates. They are very, very important. So if His Excellency John Dramani Mahama says that he is going to make sure that we celebrate these days, then I support it 100%.
You have a few rebuttals. Yes, I see you writing a lot.
I have a few rebuttals. So I think it's important to get exactly what the president said. I don't mind it. I hope you don't mind if I read it out. I speak to you this evening, rejecting completely the notion that Ghana was founded by one man. While Kwame Nkrumah's contribution to our independence are undeniable and unassailable, it is important to acknowledge for our self-respect that the struggle for our nation's freedom was a collective effort spanning several generations. I think everybody has talked on that point, and so there's no disputes there. What he said was that other people were involved. And just to also clarify something, because a lot of people are watching, they are young, and this might be an opportunity to educate them. CPP, was not founded before the riots, because when they were in, it was after they were all jailed, came out, and Kwame Nkrumah was demoted. That's when he left with, I think, the youth wing of the UGCC to set up CPP. So it couldn't have been CPP who organized the Awam riots. That's yeah no. Yes, it was Kwame Nkrumah it was Kwame Nkrumah within the UGCC, because the CPP had not been set up then. So you can't say that the CPP set up the riots. All those things cumulated into us achieving independence. Exactly what the president said. He didn't say that Kwame Nkrumah is not a founder. He was just trying to say that it was a collective effort, which everybody's submission has pointed to that point today. So yeah, I just that's all I want to chip in.
But in his speech, he said he rejects that notion.
Yes, that it was founded by one man.
Yes. So he does say that he is not the founder.
And he goes on to say, whilst Kwame Nkrumah's contributions to our independence are undeniable and unassailable, it's important to acknowledge, for our self-respect, the struggles for our nation's freedom was a collective effort spanning several generations. It's quite obvious that what the president said is basically what everybody was saying. You talked about background.
I'm saying that he's founder. I'm saying Kwame Nkrumah.
You talked about Akweje, who coincidentally was arrested by Kwame Nkrumah after. I mean, for those listening who are taking this as a history lesson as well, we are talking about a lot of other people. So what is wrong if the president says a lot of other people were involved? You're talking about changing of Kwame Nkrumah's birthday is still celebrated.
Yeah, what founders is different.
As a memorial
day. Birthday and whatever you call it.
Yeah, so honestly, I don't see why we are even discussing this issue.
Yes,
and the president made his speech on Founders Day. It was supposed to come and go. Then President Mahama goes somewhere in the north, Upper East, I think.
Yeah.
Comments on it, and that's why we are debating. We would prefer in the MPP, to discuss issues.
Don't you think the line in the president's speech where he says, I reject that notion, actually sparked that debate for even a former president to react to it? And other, political scientists, other governance analysts, to speak to it. Don't you think that particular line was unnecessary?
Was it unnecessary? No, just as she said, he's allowed to have his opinions, isn't it? I don't think it was unnecessary. And as I said, it just goes to the point that he was trying to highlight the collective effort. That's it, and it should have ended there.
But at one time, he worked with the CPP.
That's true.
At that time, he didn't believe that Nkrumah was not the sole founder.
We don't have an interview of him at that point to know exactly what he was thinking.
Anybody
There are
who
lots
was a
of
CPP
people.
member.
But if you worked with the CPP means that you agree to the ideologies of the CPP,
Yes.
which says that Nkrumah is the founder.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Anyone who worked with the CPP believed that Nkrumah was the founder.
Billy, can we really say that we can talk for everybody who has worked in the CPP?
But I'm asking,
if you're a CPP member,
if you worked with the CPP, it's like working with the NPP. You cannot say you do not believe in the ideologies or the vision of Dr. Baumia.
No, of course not. Development and freedom.
Exactly.
So, yes. Anyway, I think we've even spent too much time talking about this issue. It's a dead issue. It's important to know where we came from, but that's about it. There are way more important things to be discussed. Like everybody has said, we're in an election year. So for this back and forth to even go on.
Don't you think for an election year, it is important to talk about this because it could hurt the NPP?
How so?
Because for a lot of people, the NPP is seeking to rewrite history.
Really?
Yes.
Just by pointing out the fact that it's a collective issue.
They are legislating it. There is an epistemic violence being perpetrated by this government against the people of Ghana.
Violence how?
Violence in what form?
Because if there is a history of a people and then you try to alter it, that is, it might not come off as like an abrasive type of violence, but it can be an intellectual violence. You are trying to change what is there, and that is not good. Why should...
But is that not there as well? I ask this because if you read our history books, you see the names of these people mentioned.
Yeah.
He's just trying to highlight it.
We are not saying that these people are not there. We are saying that Nkrumah is leader and he's founder. And that is a fact. The other people are also celebrated, like all the interchanges that are named after them. It's part of it. Independence Day, we celebrate them. It's part of it. If the president wants to honor his father and his uncles, and he can do something privately for them to honor them, but not to try to alter an entire nation's history. A history that is not even known by only Ghanaians, but the world. And you try to alter it to suit your narrative, just to highlight your uncle and your father. I think that is not, it is even worse than economic exploitation. I think it isn't something that should be tolerated at all. If you were just saying it, it's one thing to be saying it, and another thing to be legislating it into our laws. That shouldn't be acceptable.
Anyway, let's move on and talk about other issues, particularly the Ijapadia document. The president has rejected that as well. I also saw a tweet by Gabi Otredako who says that he doesn't understand why anybody would think a family will cook such things and then put it in a book with their figurehead at the blurb or at the front page of the book. President Mohammed says, well, some of these things have been implemented, so it could not be far from the truth. Adjoa, let me start with you since you ended.
The Ijapadia document, I think I've seen some parts of it initially. Oh, you have a copy.
I'll get someone to prepare. Okay.
I think the first time I saw the Ijapadia document, it was a long time ago, some years ago, but I hadn't paid too much attention to it because I was thinking
because it was treated as a political document.
I was thinking it was too wicked to be true. I mean, nobody should sit and think they would do this to a nation. So I didn't believe. I mean, I didn't believe that people could actually sit down and hatch a plan to hijack a whole country, economically, socially, in every sphere of it. And so I didn't pay much attention to it until recently. And then I went back to the document and I see that some of these things that were actually in this document are being implemented. I do not know who the author is. And I would not sit here and name anybody, okay? And then I have seen some leading members of the NPP also saying they didn't author it and that it must have been authored by the NDC. And then I say that. And I think I even saw a video of one of your leading members, Chairman to me, saying that it was written by Professor Jenana of Okwajima. How ridiculous. And if Prof can write a thing like this for you to follow step by step, then maybe Prof should consider, then maybe we should hand over the entire country to Prof, because it shows that she has clairvoyance. She can see ahead of time. Because how do we have a document that predates certain things, and then we have most of the things being implemented? And then we look at, I think some part of it talking about the financial sector cleanup. The plot to remove GHOne Bank, the plot to collapse Dr. Dufour's bank, the plot to ensure that enterprise insurance becomes the sole insurer or the main insurer of government. Although we have SIC. SIC is almost now collapsed, and enterprise insurance is in business. And then there is also the part where they're talking about data bank becoming the main transaction advisor for government. When we know that before this government, data bank has been part of those people who advised government. But it wasn't even a major company that was advising governments. There were about 3 of them. And suddenly, data bank became the major financial advisor to government, borrowing left, right, center, and has contributed immensely to our over 700 billion cedis debt that we have now. And so you see these things playing out. I mean, we are logical beings, and sometimes we need to be credited with some level of intelligence. If we say that these documents are false, how come the things that are stated in there are being played out? In the document, it is said that the SNIT boss had to be removed and replaced with Osafo son. That was done. And when that was done, he came and then tried to, okay, so SNIT is having a problem. They say, we are going to sell SNIT. He comes and then fast-track the entire sale of SNIT, making sure that, or attempting to sell state assets to Honorable Brian Champon. I mean, everything that is being said in the document is playing out. So I think the NPP will have to do a lot more convincing. I do not see how this document is not a blueprint to an attempt for this government. And when I say government, sometimes I tell my friends, the sad thing about this whole thing is that when we say the NPP, I believe that there are people who believe they are part of NPP, but in my view are not part of NPP, this current NPP. Because you see an attempt of a few people in the NPP, the president and his uncles and his nephews, and these are the people, okay, who are trying to capture the state by taking over our electricity through PDS, trying to take over our oil by gold for oil. They are attempting to capture very, very important sectors of the economy. And they will send people who are not related or who might not be related to them, like my dear sister, Dr. Amwako, to come and defend, although she does not even have a share, or they may not even have any plans for her future or her as part of their family. But
are you from Chebi, by the way?
No, okay. Actually, it's not even.
So there's this.
We are not here for money.
There's this small group. You know, nobody is here for money. But the thing is, what is a national cake should not be reduced for like one family. There is this attempt to make sure that all the important sectors of this economy is captured by a particular group of people, a small group of people. And here, not the entire Achims. It's just a few people who happen to belong to that tribe who is trying to hijack. So we shouldn't make it look like it is the entire Achim clan or the Achim people. No, it is just the president and his the Chebi people. It is not. It is just the president and his nephews and his uncles and a few people who are giving a bad name to the people of Chebi and making it look like it is the whole Chebi people. No, it is just this group of people who are trying to hijack the country such that even if somebody else is elected as president, they will still control the country because they have the resources of the country in their hands. And they will send very innocent people who may be under the illusion that they are part of them to come and defend them, and they are on social media and everywhere busily defending these people, but they do not even have you at heart. You are not in their contemplation as they are trying to loot the country. And so I believe that it's about time that we all became patriotic. we are at a time where it's not a joke anymore. It is not about I belong to this place, I belong. The content of that document is very dangerous, and we are seeing its implementation step by step. And so I believe whether you are NPP, NDC, CPP, we must all be concerned about what is being, churned out through this document.
Odlin.
Well, Ejapadia. The whole Ejapadia document, which I took pains enough to print out for myself, apart from everything churning out, and we seeing it live, as somebody will say, the part that gets me is the galamsey, the mining, the companies that are involved in the mining, the destruction of our environments, especially our water bodies. And to think that so many people, were cleared of any ill doings when they were brought out in the public as people who were involved in galamsey. Somehow they were all cleared. And I'm asking myself, is it because this Ejapadia was playing out? That's how come some people who were destroying our environment, and they are still destroying our environment. They are still there doing galamsey. They are still cutting down economic trees like cocoa and mining. And you ask yourself, how can leaders of a country decide to actually destroy that country? A country that they love, a country that they will profess to say no one person founded, and other people took part. And there will be the same people to actually want to pull that country down. I get really sad. Then I wake up and I'm told that Achimota Forest, that's the only forest that is left. That forest reserve is being given out about, I think, 360 something. 61 acres is going out to estate developers. I ask myself, why? Other governments were able to leave those places for us, for posterity, for our children, our grandchildren. And yet some people want to have it now. And you ask yourself if they had any foresight. But if I'm to go by the Japan document, I will tell myself that it's not surprising. At a time that we are struggling to feed ourselves, we are rather out there putting concrete on every piece of land that we have. In Accra, you go to the university farms, Santio, those were farmlands. It's all concrete now. Go through to the Accra Plains, it's all turning to concrete. We will soon not be able to even buy kenkey because we will not get any more space to plant maize. And this is not happening just in Accra. The capturing of state lands is happening all across Ghana, from the northern region to the upper east region, upper west regions. Everywhere that there is state property, it's being captured by this very government and its people. And you ask yourself, these are the people who say they love Ghana more than some of us. Ejapadia, after I had read it, I asked myself, there is nothing in there that has not happened. Everything that has been written has happened. Names that have been mentioned, they are living people. It has affected them. We are sitting in GHOne. Kwamna Dufour has suffered as a business person. And as I sit here as a representative of Alan Martin, I ask myself, after reading that the Ashantis will be looking out that they take over after me or after us, and we will swerve them and go and bring somebody most likely from the northern region. It has happened. Yes. It has happened. Not only has it happened, but the Ashantis by themselves have been crippled. Their businesses have been run down. Go to Okaishi. Go and look at spare part dealers, how they are suffering. Go and look at them. It was just something that was planned and executed for some people to take over this country for their great-grandchildren, their grandchildren, and the future, and for the rest of us to sit where we are. And it's not surprising, because if you read the history of the UGCC, the kinds of people that were on the board or were leading the UGCC were all the elitist class. It was supposed to be them and us. You know, when President Nana Addo came as president in 2017, I had such high hopes. I felt that he had lived in the old Ghana of Kwame Nkrumah, had seen the good things, the mega projects that Kwame Nkrumah had done, Akosombo Dam, Tema Harbour, Tema Township, Takrade, all those things. And therefore, he was going to replicate and make life better for Ghanaians. I did not know that I would still be sitting here looking at the same person supervise the looting of state properties and state lands by cronies, family, and friends. It's very disheartening. As a country, we will have to reset our minds and ask ourselves if this is the way we want to go. I will not sit here and say it is only the MPP or Nana Addo's government that has sold or taken over state properties. It's not. The NDC also sold off some factories that Kwame Nkrumah built. They also sold off lands that were meant for the people. So that is how come I will say that it's time for us to change. It's time for us to look for an independent person who will be all-inclusive, who will recognize every Ghanaian, and together we will build this country again. So I would want for Ghanaians to disabuse their minds of the fact that having an independent person without a political party support will not be able to rule Ghana. I can assure you that Alan Trematin and the Alliance for Revolutionary Change will be open to all manner of people from this country, regardless of whether you are NDC, CPP, MPP, whatever. Let's pool ourselves together. Let's have a different mindset. Let us take this country away from all these people and build a new and better Ghana. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Interesting. So, first out, just touch on what my NDC co-panelist said. We don't need to be promised a share of the supposed cake. That's not why we do what we do. As a young person who is very passionate about the country, I think that might be my biggest problem or my biggest issue, is that I'm actually very passionate about issues. I believe in Ghana. I believe that we can be the beacon of Africa at so when we are doing these things, it's not because of that. That's not the focus. It's because I truly believe deep in my heart that looking at the record of both parties who are contesting this election, it is clear that the one who has shown through past achievements, has shown through clear policies that they have the people of Ghana at heart is the MPP. And that's why we do what we do, not because of whatever you've been promised. We are not the ones sharing government appointments even before the election is run. I would like to go on to this Ejapadia document. I think all my co-panelists and a lot of the people talking about this document have not actually read it. So I didn't print it, but I have it on my phone and I've been studying it for the past 2 weeks. So I find it that the NDC always deploys like Goebbels-like tactics, propaganda prior to elections, because their policies and their achievements are wafer thin. They don't have anything to talk about. They don't have anything to preach for our future. So it comes to dirty tricks like this. Let's go back to somewhere in 2008, before Nana Addo even came into government. We all heard what the NDC said. Started with how all the gold in the Bank of Ghana has been taken away. Has been taken away by President Kufuor. We saw these people print bank statements of top President Kufuor appointees, supposed bank statements. And it got to a point when you tally all these figures, it was more than the GDP of Ghana. So I don't know where this thing comes from. Fast forward, the NDC comes into power. We asked them in Parliament. I think the Honorable Watachia asked Fifi Kwete in Parliament, and he says it was a fabrication. We have a video of the leader of the NDC himself, GHOne Mohammed, saying that during election time it's important that you lie. So I am not surprised that all the rank and file of his party are towing the same line of lies, which I find completely disappointing. It's an embarrassment to the people of Ghana. You've been president before, you want to come again. Instead of telling us what you've done and how you can help us, you are settling on these petty things that are not factual. And I'll come to the point to prove to you page by page how this is a mere fabrication. I don't even want to use fabrication. It is like an accumulation of things that have happened, an accumulation of stories in the press, and even lifted documents from a research paper, lifted verbatim. So if you've actually read it, there's no way you would sit here and have that position on this issue. Let's take the issues one by one. You know, in 2017, there was a previous version of this book released, the Achim Mafia Plan, 2017. Nobody's talking about that. Even this Ejapadia document itself, 3 versions exist. I don't know which one you have and how many pages this has. I have one that has 37. I have one that has 38 pages. I have one that has 39 pages, all on my phone. I can share with you after.
Yeah, I'd like to
we go into this. Let's go into this. So if you go into the book, there's a part where it says, I think even the wording is funny. In this Achim Mafia Plan, this great Achim Mafia Plan, I don't know if you've had time to review it. At that point, it says that, what's it called? Ken Ofori-Atta is the heir to Nana Akufo-Addo, and that's what came out in 2017 or so. So you can see that everything in that document did not come true. It was pure propaganda. It's like the people of the NDC went to study under Goebbels, and they are playing propaganda page by page from his book, because everything in that first Achim Mafia document did not come true. They noticed that this didn't work, so 2020, let's write another book to come and distract the people of Ghana because we have nothing to say. You check in the book, and then it has ABSA, formerly Barclays. So if this book was written in 2017, it is writing the ABSA, formerly Barclays. You can Google on your phone. All you need is a quick check to see when ABSA Group of South Africa took over the Ghana business of Barclays. You can check. It was February 2022. So if you are saying ABSA, formerly Barclays, a discerning mind, like we are having an intellectual discussion this morning, a discerning mind will say that you can't say that prior to February 2020. Yes? Yeah. In that same book where you are saying everything came to pass, there's one that just rolls off the top of my mind. Antoinette, Mrs. Antoinette, who I think she was one of the executives of Barclays at that time. It says she was going to take over as CEO of ABSA. That did not happen. I think she's at MTN right now as the CFO. We also come to the first page. I think that's the first thing to even look at. You have the book.
Yeah, you want to look at it?
May I? Yes.
Sure.
I wish we could put it up. Can we see AD 2020 down here? So how is a book that was written, supposedly, no, at the bottom, please. I can see that it was put on the screen, but let's see. AD 2020 down here. AD 2020. So a book that was supposedly written in 2017 as a great blueprint that is being implemented has the author has made a mistake. So we are crediting the Achim Mafia, supposed Achim Mafia, we are crediting them with so much intellect, so much grace, but this is what we expect from them. The first picture, which was showing before, which is supposed to be one of the old Achim chiefs, actually is a very famous picture of Prempeh. We just passed it.
Kali,
Exactly. It's a very famous, if you've been to the Menchia Palace Museum in Kumasi, as a Kumasi girl, we have, that's a place you visit a lot. It's one of the pictures that you see there. It's a very famous picture of Prempeh the First. So yes, the Achims will write a book, and on the first page, there's an error. They will put Prempeh the First instead of their own chief and write AD 2020. Then in the book, the way APSA came about, I don't know if you've taken time to read about. So supposedly for every sector, there are biological children, adopted children, and what's not. The wording is even as ridiculous as it comes. I feel like even a child reading it would be like, what is going on here? So APSA is supposed to be an adopted child. APSA, formerly Barclays, written in 2017, is an adopted child of the HM Mafia, a multinational company. Hey, then the HM Mafia is a very powerful organization. Let's go on. I don't know if you have the whole book on there to page 33 in the book.
Okay.
The beginning says to breathe life into the separation of powers doctrine. That's just how shoddy this work was done. I think the only genius thing about it is taking pictures so that it looks like an actual leak. That's the only thing that can be credited with some intellect in this whole writing. But on page 33, you see to breathe life into the separation of powers doctrine and need to amend the Article 108 of the Constitution. Yes, you just passed it. Perfect.
You said page what?
33, this is it. To breathe life into the separation of powers doctrine, there's a need to amend Article 108 to allow MPs to introduce private member bills. You can copy and paste this part and put it into Google, and it will show you the source documents. An article written by Prof. Kweku Asare of CDD. The whole page, to breathe life is there. It is necessary to amend Article 78, blah, blah, blah. This thing was written in March 2020. So in 2017, we could see ahead of time to see that a private intellectual was going to write a research paper and copy his wording verbatim, word to word. Hey, that's a serious thing. I think it's the MPP has sort of been known to let things go and not talk about this, and it's not going to happen anymore because I feel like the new NPP, we are not going to let this slide. If you don't have anything proper for us, you don't have jobs for us, like the time where you said that you had provided 1.7 million jobs, Ablakwa said that, for another minister of employment to come and say that he doesn't know where these 1.7 million jobs are. For the time where, the DRIP initiative that just happened with the contractors, with the equipment, then at that time, when Mahama procured equipment, only for it to be given to his brother to supposedly dredge the Odo River. And then we saw those equipments on private property doing work. It's not that kind of thing. Because people were young at that point in time and did not see Mahama's government, it is very strange. It's very courageous on their part to try and throw such distractions at us. This is clear. So this was supposedly written in 2017, but research work from somebody in 2020. You can Google it. All the viewers watching, you can just Google and then you see. It's not me saying this. It is there. All you need to do is sit down with a pen and paper, read the book, and discern it. Number one, how are they even? There's a HM Mafia plan. There's a Ajapadia 37, Ajapadia 38, Ajapadia 39. Let's move on. It also says something about how GHOne, yes, on the banking sector cleanup that my fine lady mentioned. The wording in there is all in the past tense. In this book, supposedly, it says that the Ghana Amalgamated Trust Fund, a special purpose vehicle that was started in somewhere 2018, 2019. That's when this special purpose vehicle was established to give money and recapitalize. It was Omni Bank, NIB, and co. There is a Bank of Ghana document where there's also a verbatim copy. And when you read the wording, let me find it on my phone and then read it to you. This thing is written in past tense. So something that you are writing to talk about the future, it is written in past tense. Let's be discerning. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So after all of these things we are saying, how can we take this as a serious document? It is a weak piece of propaganda that wasn't even properly done. Even my younger sister might be able to come up with a better way of putting this so that, yes, Ghana received 800 million. And that's exactly the amount of money, 800 million, that was given to them. Received. You can see the tense. So we are saying that this was written in 2017, and the Ghana Amalgamated Trust, that was not even set up, gave 800 million to the banks. When? Was it before I was born? Is that what is happening? I feel like even...
Is this in this document?
It's in the document.
Yes, so the documents you have, that's 2017, the ones you...
Yes.
Could it be that it was a continuum?
No. So a continuum way in 2020.
From 2017.
Because you see AD 2020.
Yeah, it dispels the whole. It dispels the whole.
2020 does it not suggest that this was a revised version for 2020.
No.
So if
it was a revised document in 2020, then all of this has already happened. What I'm saying is that then there was one of these journalists, please let me land. GHOne Tutu was the first person that wrote about this supposed Ejapadia document. You can find on the internet the tweet where he says there's a supposed Ejapadia document in 2017. So there's the arguments of the NDC and the opposition and those purporting this Ejapadia document was that it was written in 2017. And obviously, you didn't even check the first page to see what was written there. If you are saying this book was written in 2020, then everything you are saying happened between 2017 and 2020. The things in the book that are yet to happen, like Kojo Oponkroma going to be Minister of Communication. Is he Minister of Communication? Correct me. Maybe there's an alternative universe that we are not in, that Kojo Oponkroma is a communications minister. It talks about Honorable Mustafa Hamid supposedly spending campaign funds. Not that's pure fictional. All the things in the book that have not happened yet, that were predictions, have not come true. The only things in the book that you can say, oh, but this happened, are things that happened between 2017 and 2020. So for the flag bearer of the NDC to mount a platform and talk about this, I find it, oh my God. So I find it embarrassing to the people of Ghana. You don't have anything proper to tell us and to rely on propaganda that you yourself know is fake.
Ikea, help me out.
Okay.
The part concerning Asofo Marfo's son.
Asofo Marfo's son.
That happened just recently.
Yes.
So does it mean that they went back
and
then
added it
and brought this?
No, and added it. So the 37-page document I have doesn't have that part on the.
But what is currently in circulation is a 38.
Yeah, but I'm saying that there's a 39-page document because people have seen the format of this supposed document. So one day you wake up and there's a screenshot. That's how the information on the Ejapadia comes out. You see a screenshot and a part circled saying so and so and so. And even not to even let's countenance this idea. Wasn't Asofo Marfo's son
deputizing the former Senate boss?
Yes, and the Senate boss was almost 60. So, even a child can say that when the Senate boss, who is almost 60, goes on retirement, so Asofo Marfo's son will take away. So if that's the only point you have, as opposed to everything I've said here, I don't even...
No, that's not the only thing. So many things are played out. But what I'm trying to ask you is this. Does it necessarily have to have been an NDC person? An MPP person couldn't have written this as well?
Why would we write this?
Why not?
Please, why? What's the point? And then tell me this. Okay, it's very interesting. You credit the MPP with some intellect, So we wrote a 2017 plan. It's leaked. We wrote Ejapadia 37, the one without Asofo Marfo. It's leaked. There's 38 that you have a printed copy of. We wrote it. It's leaked. 39, it's leaked. Who stands to benefit from this? Occam's razor. Sometimes the most simple explanation is the correct explanation. Why would the MPP write such? We don't even have time for this. We are thinking about both solutions for our future. We are thinking of how we can make the lives of Ghanaian people better. We've done the free SHS. We've done, and we have progress in the health sector and everything. We are thinking on how we can build on those gains. We are thinking on how we can implement open universities. We are thinking about how we can train 1 million youth in ICT. We are thinking about how to better the business environment, to provide them tax amnesties, to give them a flat tax on spare parts, to make sure that audits, GRA is not disturbing businesses and audits.
So I like the fact that you talk about we are thinking. You had 8 years to think. You didn't think that you needed to implement.
I don't think that's a fair assertion. Hasn't the
No, but you said we are thinking. That's what I'm saying. No, you had 8 years.
Everybody has been in government. You can be in government. Things are unfolding. The country is dynamic. The world is dynamic. You have to plan ahead. Or because we've achieved gains in free SHS, we should just leave the education system like that. No, what's the next step? How do we continue to move forward? Let's reposition towards STEM. Isn't Kamala Harris the vice president of US? Isn't she not proposing new policies? Every person who is contesting an election again will propose new policies. Then President Mahama has been president before. Why is he campaigning and proposing a 24-hour economy he cannot explain? We can say that, he's already been president, so he has nothing to say. That's what makes us different. We will sit down around the table and come up with plans for our progress and for our future because we care about the country. We all live here. Nobody is planning to leave big or brain drain or any. We have to make Ghana work because that's all we have.
Yes. So I would say that Like I started in my first submission, we do not know who particularly authored this book, and it appears that there are different versions and revised versions of it. But what sparked this whole debate was that the president came out to give a speech on it, or a statement, that it was fake. But before that, the document had been in circulation, and I mean, we hadn't really spoken much about it. But why are we concerned about an Ejapadia document, whether or not it is fiction or real? We are concerned because we see that there's an attempt for a group of people to capture the state. So the issue, the issue, please let me. So
you will have a chance to.
Yeah. So the issue really maybe might not be the document itself, but we are looking at, let's say that some of these things that we are saying, or my good sister is saying that had happened before the documents were written and all. Will it still be wrong to say that when a government takes such steps, as has been written in the book, it does not lead to one conclusion that the government is attempting to capture the state? And one good example will be the selling of the Smith hotels to Honorable Brian Champon. So the NDC has said that it is not right for politically exposed people to be in the position to purchase or acquire state properties. Governments before have done it. It has been with us for some time. And so we do not think that it is right for us to do it now. Let us legislate in a way to stop politically exposed people or people in government from obtaining or acquiring state properties. So we are seeing the collapse of GHOne Bank. We are seeing the collapse of Dr. Dufour's bank. We have seen the making of Data Bank the main government transaction advisor. We are seeing that Enterprise Insurance has now become the main insurer of government's, how do you call it? Of government. Meanwhile, we have instead of state insurance. When we do that, we are collapsing SIC. And so now the content, let us even assume without admitting that the book is a revised version. All these things that has been written that is happening, is it not still leading to a state capture with people being placed in strategic areas to make sure that they are capturing certain things so much that even if their preferred candidate is not president, the country is still under their thumb and their control. And so Auntie Rodlin spoke about...
But how will the country, should Dr. Bawumia become president, how would the country be under the thumb of now Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo?
Oh, please, they have plunged the country into debt for now. If the people sitting at the back, the people in the shadows are controlling your...
Have you heard the vice president say he will be his own man?
Oh, it doesn't mean anything.
Really?
To me personally, it doesn't mean anything. So if he says he will be, he said many things that, I mean, didn't play out. So if he says he'll be these people are making him the president, and it is in this document. They are going to choose somebody from the northern parts, and who they will be able to, who will be able to kowtow to what they want. And so they do not think that Honorable Alan would be the person that can be able to help them to finish off what they have started. And so if Dr. Bawumia says that he will be his own man, to me, it doesn't really mean anything. So whether or not Dr. Bawumia is president or somebody else is president, if there are people in this country who are more powerful, who are more wealthy, who are in charge of your electricity, they are in charge of your gold, they are in charge of your oil, they own like the major state assets that controls the economy, they control you. It doesn't matter who is president. They can bring Donald Trump to be president. If Donald Trump is not in charge of the oil, the electricity, the gold, then how are you going to run the country? Because with a stroke of a pen, they can shut the country down because they are in charge of these very important sectors that holds the economy. And so, in as much as we'll be debating about whether or not a document is fiction or real, or who authored it or not, let us also look at the content of it. Is it not pointing to what we are trying to stand against. And if we claim that we are very patriotic people and that we care so much about the country and we believe that Ghana can be made better and that we intend to stay here and not, leave the country, then maybe we should all be concerned about making sure that some people's companies are placed at the top and placed in some strategic areas to ensure that they control certain sectors. That is what I think are the concerns of Ghanaians. For these documents, like I said earlier, I do not know who authored it. They claim they don't know who authored it. Nobody knows. But the content in there is very disturbing. And for some of us, we see it as whether the things happened before it was written or it was written before it happened, that it doesn't make the happenings better for us as a country.
Okay.
Very short rebuttal.
Okay.
First, I would like to ask what state capture is mentioned in there, because as far as I'm concerned, PDS never happened. So I don't know what state capture she's talking about. It says we were all here when ex-President Mahama, about a week before leaving office, attempted to give our bauxite to his brother. So if you are talking about state capture, there's evidence of that. She talked about Chimota Forest. There's evidence that President Mahama during his time tried to give away at least some parts of the Achimota forest to the Owo family, which I think the spokesperson of the family is Oko Vanderpoy, who is a member of the NDC. So we are not talking about all of those things. On one hand, you say that you don't believe you can't absolutely stand by the credibility of the book. On the other hand, you want to say that there's purported state capture in there, but you didn't mention any supposed state capture in the book.
But if the NPP thinks that a member of the Owu family is a leading member of the NDC, why then does the current lands minister say that they are returning 61 acres to the custodial owners? If they believe that a member of the NDC,
that's what said just to make a statement that at that point this thing happened. It's almost happened under President Mahama. So to sit here and then try and purport state capture when you haven't been able to list any is a big issue, isn't it? That's what we are talking about here.
But since you mentioned, that's why I'm asking that. Well, the lands minister has categorically stated that we are returning these lands to the Owu family.
They are, as you said, the custodial owners of the land. These are, what's it called, deliberations and back and forth that have been happening for years. So to come and make it a political issue, I find that a little beneath us all. Because it's something that happened under President Mahama too. You said they are the custodial family of it. And we all know the situation in Accra with the way the land tenure system is with the custodial families and state. This is a back and forth that's going. So it's not like anybody has an interest in giving the lands away and some purported state capture. I feel like it's a very serious issue to try and talk about this Ejapadia book when you obviously haven't read it enough to come out with points to say that this state capture happened, but to broadly say that it's a book on state capture. Which part has been captured by who? So that's what I would like for her to know. Which part has been broadly say state capture because you feel like it plays on the heartstrings of Ghanaians. It's not a fair thing to do. We are talking about policies. What do you have for us instead of bringing these distractions up?
Now talk about policies.
I don't get to say anything.
Okay, please go ahead, so that we can quickly move to the policies.
Talk about the financial sector cleanup. And what explanation have they been able to give to us for expending
I'm really
such
glad
an
you
amount
sent it there.
of money?
I'm really glad
collapsing
you brought
all
it
these
there.
banks, just to ensure that some banks that are deemed to be the favorites of the government stay in business.
Okay, I think it's a very wicked assertion
So
to say.
the point is that nobody is going to expressly or explicitly say that we are capturing the state. But like I say, we are all logical beings. It is the happenings and the doings. And then we sit back and we look at it and we say that, no, this is going to result in this. Because if there's a banking sector cleanup exercise, there are banks that are giving small loans to market women, to people. And then you come and you claim that these banks are not supposed to operate because they are in debt. And then you come and use more money to collapse them and even tax us on top of it. You are not able to explain to us why you needed to clear that sector for certain preferred banks to have control. So I am not saying specifically that somebody have said that they are going to capture this. Nobody will tell you that I am going to capture the state or I'm going to capture your state, so be ready for me. But they will be doing subtle things that, if put together, one can come to a conclusion that this is leading to a state capture. So that is all I am saying.
Okay, so to this Bank of Ghana issue, I have a press release from the Bank of Ghana on what happened and what led to the banking sector crisis. I will share it with you so that you can educate yourself, because you don't seem to understand why it happened. So you mentioned GN Bank and Unibank. GN Bank was liquidity insolvent to the point that they had a capital adequacy ratio of almost negative 80 or so. I'll give you the exact figure. They were repeatedly given liquidity support under President Mohammed, liquidity support that GN Bank purportedly used in the US to try and set up another bank. Depositors' funds. So you expected the government of Ghana to wait. The banking sector is a very important sector. I think all too much we only talk about the jobs, but businesses also have their funds there. We are not going to sit back and allow everybody's funds to disappear because of the greed of shareholders and directors. That's not going to happen. And for you to say that the banking sector cleanup was done to to benefit certain banks. Firstly, no banks were closed down. Banks were merged because they did not have the liquidity capable of running a bank. You will take depositors' money, give it loans that you cannot back, uncollateralized loans. Unibank at a point had about 70% of its asset book as unperforming loans. About 4 billion Ghana cedis given to shareholders and directors of the company and used on things, uncollateralized loans, so money that was just lost. From 2015, Unibank was dependent on liquidity support. Every time depositors' money would disappear, they don't have any money, they need to make some obligations, they will go to Bank of Ghana. Oh, please, Charlie, give us some money, let's recapitalize the bank. They will give them money. The same thing, they will come and give the money again out, loans to people, uncollateralized loans, bazaar. Again, to a tune of about 6 billion Ghana cedis was given to Unibank in liquidity support before the revocation of Unibank's license. So to sit here and then say that banks were closed to make which bank more powerful?
So we know that GN Bank collapsed because government did not pay them. I mean, that has been...
so in the Bank of Ghana document that I'll share to you...
So if we are to go by this...
I'll share it to you.
So we can take a quick break.
Yes,
we'll have to touch on the last topic.
Okay, I was just trying to think about the ordinary Ghanaian. You know, when we listen to MPP NDC, it gets more interesting. I ask myself, we talked about giving lands back and stuff like that. I am more concerned about state lands that are being given to political operatives and the likes of it. Because I ask myself, you know, you look at Legon, the lands that are in Legon, people keep complaining, and Kwame Nkrumah took so much land. Meanwhile, today, that land is not even enough because people are building hostels and more colleges are coming out of those lands. So why, at this time, should we be giving back lands that borders Achimota School when we know that more people are going to those schools? Then I'm also asking myself, all these cantonment lands, state lands that are going, and we have civil servants, public servants that travel from Kofredua and from Eburi and other places to go to work. Government cannot utilize them to build houses for those people to come and occupy, but rather we are giving it to political friends to build houses for themselves. Is that fair? It isn't. When I want to ask, when Achampong came into government, Achampong, we can say Dansoman, he built a whole estate. I mean, all these things, we look at this government, 8 years, the amount of money that the Akufo-Addo government and the MPP government have gotten. We cannot point to any housing that is benefiting ordinary Ghanaians. Everything seems to be going for the upper class, for the high class. Why? Is that?
Oh, but a few weeks ago they commissioned something for
which
the
one?
police.
For the police. No, but those are look, when it comes to military, when it comes to security agencies, sometimes they make their own monies. Okay, but when you have a government that is going to go into an agreement just because the land is prime for the prison service, rich, to say that they are going to take some land and then the people will be building for the prison service, I find that unfortunate. Why can't you build? Why? Why do you have to take state lands and be given? And let me ask you, she's just talking about the banking cleanup, sector cleanup. What was the standing of Data Bank that enabled them to be the main transaction advisors to collect that kind of money whilst we're borrowing money?
Which money?
The loans. Because from what we are told...
But that has nothing to do about the banking sector cleanup. The receivers were KPMG and co. That has nothing to do...
How viable was DataBank?
DataBank has been a player in this...
And it was better than Heritage and Unibank and all the rest.
Yes, if you are talking about liquidity, yes.
Heritage
Bank...
Okay, ladies.
If you are talking about that...
You just collapse rival banks.
We didn't collapse rival banks.
$7.1 billion.
If you don't pay them, how do you expect them to pay?
All right, we'll take a quick break here. When we return, we'll talk about Godfred Dame saying the NDC cannot explain its 24-hour economy. We're right back. Explain what its 24-hour economy policy is all about. Adja, can you help us?
Yeah, of course, I expect him to say that. I mean, the AG is the first gentleman of the bar. And besides that, he's a politician and a member of the NPP. And so I didn't expect anything otherwise from, I mean, do you expect him to say that we understand it and then we can explain it? No. So, but because of our time, I will not even take too much time into going into this. We have explained to the people of Ghana what the 24-hour economy is. We have said that it is an 8-hourly 3-shift system where people, some industries, especially the manufacturing, are going to produce on a 3-shift space system. The intention of this is to create more jobs for the teeming youth. And we all know how high the unemployment rate is now, from about 8% to now heading to 15%, forgive me. And so we want to create more jobs because the youth being idle is not good. It's a security threat for this country. And so we have explained to the good people of Ghana, and I believe that the AG himself, as a lawyer, he's very intelligent and he understands this kind of economic model or policy because he's also well traveled and he's seen it's being implemented in other areas of the world, so he understands it. Besides, is it really the understanding of it or like the explanation of it, or is about implementation? I remember when the president was talking about free SHS, it's so short and very understandable, but can we say that it was properly implemented? So to me, the focus is on implementation. Before they came to power, they didn't explain to us that we are going to find...
What will be your explanation for not properly implemented when you talk about the free SHS? To digress.
We have all seen some of the problems that bewildered the free SHS implementation. First is that they did not listen to us. They did not try to build more infrastructure before just declaring it. For declaration, everybody, if you make me president tomorrow, I can declare that everybody can go anywhere and eat for free. For declaration, is just
if you make me president, Monday will be a holiday.
Yeah. So for declaration, yes. But as to whether or not they put in the right infrastructure to be able to house all the children, as we were saying, let's do it progressively and build more infrastructure. So we ended up having the double shift system. We ended up seeing some of the children sleeping in areas that were not good. We ended up seeing their feeding being poor. And we say that education should be well-rounded. It does not only involve you sitting in class and reading. It involves your environment and everything. So to my mind, much money has been expended on free SHS, but it wasn't properly implemented. Besides, there were so many things they didn't explain to us that they have done. Before they came into power, they explained to us that we'll be finding millions of dollars under Cecilia Dapa's bed, but it happened. And when before...
That was not a policy.
Yeah, but it happened. They didn't explain to us that they are going to take... When they said that they are going to take us from taxation to production, they explained it, but... Did they take us from taxation to production? No. We have more tax.
Are you then saying that
they are saying that
the NDC is promising us something and will not deliver?
No, we did not even when we came earlier. Did we promise people? Or did we explain to people that we are going to build UGMC or we are going to build Maritime Hospital, Balgatanga Hospital, Circle Dubai Interchange? Did we explain that we were going to build the roads and the hospitals and the over 200 chip compounds and the e-blocks? And it's about implementation. It is not about sloganeering and all talks. It is about implementation. So between the two parties who have been able to implement things, when VP Baumia said that we did not need to borrow to be able to build this country or develop this country. He explained it. We understood it. But when he came, did we not borrow? We have even taken our debts to over 700 billion. You get it? So it is not about talking. we have explained it to, we go to the grounds and we have explained it to the grassroots and the people who need the job. For the AG, he has a job. He doesn't even have to put in effort. He has a job. And so for the young teeming Ghanaians who need jobs, who need better standard of life, they understand what His Excellency GHOne Dramani Mahama is trying to propose and trying to bring to create job for all young people in this country. So I do not expect the AG to say otherwise, to say that the NDC understands the 24-hour economy and we've been able to explain it. For everything that they stood on platforms and they claim to have explained to Ghanaians, have they been able to implement it? So is it about explaining or implementation? You are good at explaining and talking, but you do not know how to implement anything. And I do not, even for a government that has been in power for almost 8 years, you cannot point to any single monumental thing that they have built or anything that they have properly implemented. We did not explain how Atobo gas was going to work, but we built it. Do you understand me? So we have explained to people who understand us. They are the people who matter because they are the ones going to cast the vote. For the NPP, they can pretend they do not understand it, although they are the ones who were in private jets with taxpayers' money touring around the world. They still claim, even when they went around the world, they did not see that countries are implementing 24-hour economy. And so they do not understand. But I know that because he's a lawyer, he understands. And because he's well-traveled, he understands. And we have also properly explained it to the grassroots and the people who need this job and who are going to, on 7th December, vote for His Excellency GHOne Dramani Mahama to come and implement the 24-hour economy. Besides, that is not even our only policy. His Excellency GHOne Dramani Mahama has said that when he comes, he's going to train 1 million youth in coding and programming. We are also going to do the National Apprenticeship Program, which will seek to train young people, because the recent AG reports shows that close to 2 million youth are in this country. They do not have jobs. They are not in any education training. They are not even having any kind of training. That is worrying. And it is our target to train more youth, to make sure that we find jobs for them to do, because we have done it before. You can compare the statistics, and we don't create the statistics. It's the same Ghana Statistical Service who does the survey. And it has shown, all the statistics proves that in our time, we did better when it came to jobs, because you can see it in the unemployment rate and compare it to what is happening today. So I will not, go into much to talk about his comment. I think prior to now, I had not seen any of our attorney generals being so political, but it still doesn't take away anything. He's a politician. He's entitled to what he has to say, but it doesn't mean that it is true. It is not true. We understand it, we've explained it, and the people are receiving it. I don't know if you've been following His Excellency GHOne Dramani Mahama on his campaign tour in the northern region. We've been to several places, Navrongo, Talensi, Yagaba. Forgive me if I'm not mentioning the names. And these are the messages we are giving to the young people. And you see the youth come out and they receive the news very well. And it doesn't seem like they do not understand, because we interact with them and we are on the grounds with them. And so they understand what the 24-hour economy is and what its impact is going to be for our economy.
Okay, lovely.
That's the NDC's explanation. And that's for them to come and implement. I would want to say what my president will implement. I think that we have decided that in order to be able to have jobs for the teeming youth, we will try as much as possible to open up newer avenues. So we have when we come to agriculture, we expect that we'll have youth-owned agricultural parks. And these people will be supported to grow certain crops, both for local consumption and for exports. And we will make sure that there will be banking services to help them in that regard. We will also fast-track the 5,000 acres Greater Kumasi Industrial City, which should open up a lot of avenues for young people also and for majority of people to get jobs. We also have some sectors that we want to tackle. The vehicle assembly and components sector. Okay. For instance, when you go to Okanshi, the spare parts dealers. They are all importing second-hand spare parts and maybe substandard spare parts from China and Nigeria and the rest. And we are saying no. It's about time we started manufacturing those things here.
Sorry to cut in.
Okay.
When did Alan Chiramatin realize all these things?
Oh, Alan Chiramatin realized it long ago because he was part of AGOA. He was able to bring businesses. He was one of those who was able to bring up the vehicle assembling plants that we are seeing everywhere as Minister of Trade. He has been part of the World Trade Center negotiations and stuff. He's been there a long time. It's not like he's now beginning to see. But it's just that...
And he didn't think that as trade minister, he needed to propose these policies.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did, but he was not given the support because he was not the final...
Did he say he was not given the support?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He did say that he was not given the support. Okay. Some of the programs he brought, he was not given the support. As trade minister, he didn't get support. So he is coming out now with what he believes in that will change the economy of this country. And that is what we are going to go by. So we look at it like, if you're looking at agriculture, we expect to make the best out of agriculture. We expect to use the north, the middle belt of Ashanti, that's Brangahafu and all those areas and parts of the Volta region. We expect to make sure that this country is divided into sectors that will enable everybody to find something to do. And we believe that he's capable of doing it because he has done it before. We saw at least taking AGOA from nothing. We saw how now everybody's exporting to America. From our teas to our gari to our... We are exporting, opening out avenues. So he knows best how to get us out of this quagmire. So these are some of the things. And if you look at our petrochemical industry and you look at the fact that we are an oil-producing country, what are we doing with the other... the byproducts. We're not doing much with it. And he's saying that, look, this is what we can do. We can do all sorts of things from the byproducts of the oil that and the gas that we have. And we're looking at pharmaceuticals. In the world today, there's a lot of need for natural products. Ghana abounds with so much of these natural products. Meanwhile, we're leaving it to very few individuals to go around them. And we're saying, no, we have to make sure that we're able to get more people involved, more researchers, fund them, encourage them to do all those things, to open up more avenues for business. So we have a lot of strategic plans for Ghanaians to be able to at least make a living. And all I can say is that get a copy of our great transformational plan, which you can get from the net or anywhere. You can scan it from anywhere that you meet them and read more about the things that we are going to be able. We are talking about manufacturing and processing and marketing all the things that we produce, not just leaving people to have tomatoes getting rotten and at one time you can't buy tomatoes, or letting people stop planting yams because they don't have markets and they get spoiled. No, you plant the yams, you get a processor, you process it, and you export. These are all things. We will be making good use of the Tamale International Airport. We will turn it into a cargo hub where almost all things, all products that we produce, from the shea butter that we have made the Western world to take control of, instead of us taking control of, we expect that shea butter should be something that we can make different things from and be able to export it from Tamale. We are looking at Bronaha for feeding that cargo hub as well. Okay. So we have a lot of things in store for Ghanaians. So that's how come you have to vote for Alan Chiramatin and the Butterfly come December 7th.
Oh, you're in yellow.
Yes, I always have the yellow. And then it signifies the gold and everything that you can think of. Okay. We're rich.
Okay.
So I think if anything has been proven right here, the Attorney General has been proven absolutely right by my dear sister here, because she also did not explain the 24-hour economy. She instead digressed into free SHS and talking about the issues of free SHS. Talking about infrastructure. When it is on record, you can go through the GHOne documents that the GHOne Mohammed government built only 29 E-blocks, which he was the champion of. It is on record now that this MPP government has built 60 E-blocks. Not just that, we are building STEM schools, GSS, STEM centers in existing schools, and STEM schools themselves, expanding TVET and all of that. the free SHS policy has become so popular that when GHOne Mohammed met the media, he attempted to take credit for it. So I think that speaks for it. What we are talking about here is your free SHS policy. I don't think it is in my place to explain it for you or to try and explain it for you. You said the people of Ghana understand this 24-hour economy, and I don't think they do. I do not understand it. Lily tried asking you what the 24-hour economy was about, and I don't know if she got the response. I don't know if it is like Honorable Okujeso Ablakwa said, having an airport in every region, whether it is what Peleso Fosukwachi said about eating wache at 3 a.m., whether it is about the ambulances roaming at night, which I found, wow, that's what you sat on the sidelines for 7 years, and that's the best you could come up with. Whether it is the lions and elephants and eagles from Pudon that one of your communication team members said, it is obvious that the NDC is in chaos. And for you to sit here and say 200 CHIPS compounds, CHIPS compounds are tiny clinics, of which we've built over 1,000. So if you are here confidently saying that you built 200, I think it is mediocrity at its peak. So yeah, it is clear that the NDC is in chaos and is unable to explain its 24-hour economy. She talked about other countries, about the AG Godfrey Adami being well-traveled. So in Tokyo, Detroit, Michigan, all these places that they have a 24-hour economy, it was not a policy. They didn't sit down and say that what we are going to do is the 24-hour economy. They didn't print T-shirts with 24-hour economy. They didn't go and stand on every podium just sloganeering, saying 24-hour economy when they cannot explain it. I expected by this point they would have come up with a clear way of explaining to the people of Ghana this 24-hour economy and how it's going to benefits the people of Ghana. The free SHS policy did not even require an explanation. It was simple. You are not going to pay tuition in secondary school, and it has been achieved. So to say that implementation and whatnot, and you are on record to have failed in implementing so many of your things. You promised us one-time premium before you were given the nod in 2008, one-time premium for the NHIS. You were unable to do that, and you brought the NHIS on its knees. Right now, the NHIS is taking care of young kids with cancer on the NHIS. If you give birth to a child with sickle cell, yesterday I went to the salon to have my hair done, and the lady doing my hair just told me that she just found out that her son was SS. I felt for her and everything. And the good news in all of this is that now she would not have to struggle to pay for the hydroxyurea. That's all the people on sickle cell greatly need, because it is covered under the NHIA now. We are trying to move it forward by trying to create a biannual system of everybody under the NHIA being able to go for a health checkup. You talked about jobs, but as I said earlier, you are the one. It was the NDC where Honorable Okujeso Ablakwa said he had created 1.6 million jobs, and then he could not account for those jobs. A same member of the NDC came out, E.T. Mensah, the thing was just too much for him. He just could not fathom it and said that he doesn't know anything about this because he doesn't want to be quoted. So I don't know how you are now going to magically claim jobs when you are the one who has said you are not a magician to create jobs for us. Now you have have you found a genie to be able to produce the jobs? I don't believe that. So I think based on records, based on ideas, based on who has something to say, it is clear that the Attorney General Godfrey Adami is absolutely right that they cannot explain it, because my dear sister here also did not explain it.
Oh, you can explain it.
But this thing is, I always say the most difficult.
I am not NDC.
The most difficult.
NDC, but I can understand and relate. It's just that probably they have a difficulty.
Yeah. So if you have a difficulty, how are you going to implement it?
So you see, when we had like Bonsa Tie Factory, we had all those other ones that were supposed to be producing stuff. If you have the Kedemach factory, so if you go in there, people are producing, they're working almost through 24 hours almost. They go, other people go, leave, and other people come back and stuff like that. Unfortunately, all those factories have been collapsed or sold. You understand? So if you are still using that old document, you will find that maybe there is a rice mills in Tamale, a granite oil mill factory, oil mill processing something in Boku, and maybe there's a fish processing plant in some part in Boku, brick and tile factory in Kolungungu somewhere. You know, like dotted around were things that Kwame Nkrumah put as factories and processing areas. So you could have worked around that 24-hour economy. You understand? So if you're going to do that now, you have to pick on certain things. Either you're going to go the agric way, where you're going to have large commercial farms, and then out of that, the processing. People will be working through the night to making the groundnut oil, to making the cotton, where, you know, the ginnery, where they will be processing the cloth, and then all those things. Those are things that are feasible.
But Madam Rodelin, you see, after everything you have just explained, I bet you Dr. Makwa still does not understand. The NPP will not understand.
So those are
and
the
I
things.
often say that the most difficult type of ignorance to cure is the self-imposed one.
If
there are people who genuinely do not understand things, and there are people who intentionally decide to be ignorant about things.
Thank you very much.
You know, when I came to Accra sometime, like in the early 60s, you could arrive in Accra as a kid. You could arrive in Accra and go to Sraha Market, and it's like daytime. You shop. Actually, people used to go to night markets to buy foodstuffs to go home and cook. But maybe because of certain things, all those places are closed now. So probably it's part of the...
Isn't it beautiful that the butterfly has explained the 24-hour
now you understand it.
Anyway, thank you very much, ladies.
It's not that you
Excited
don't
having
understand.
you.
The butterfly has explained it better. Thank you very much.
Member of the NDC Communications team, Rodeling Ayana is a leading member for the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, and Dr.
Sorry, we are having our manifesto launch this month, by the end of this month. So I'd like to announce that also.
Okay, I think the NPP is
18th August in Takoradi. You see, they are very reactionary, but time is fast spent. We will tackle this another day. 18th August in Takoradi.
Okay. My book is coming to your book.
We are brothers, we are sisters.
Because my book came before your book.
I'm sure I'll get it right. She's a member of the NPP Communications team. Thank you very much, ladies. And thank you for staying tuned in. Please don't go anywhere. I am back, and when I return, I sit with a parliamentary aspirant, an NDC parliamentary aspirant for Weji Agbawi. Please don't go.
Say, I am boaf. Ufuduapa, Upian. Nana Akufo-Addo has given or identified, or through NEIP, that we have identified people who are now Ufuduapa. And see, what do they need? They see Piamo. We've actually pushed them to the heights, and it's not limited. It's unlimited. They need to give we need to give them the chance. Yeah.
I am wondering why the presidential pitch, because we have other entities. There's the YE, there's the entrepreneurship agency headed by Kosi Yankee. There's the Exim Bank, which also gives fund facilities to people. Why the presidential pitch? What is in it for the president? Why does he seek this presidential pitch?
No, let's put it this way. All this, I like this question. All what you said is actually a flagship initiative by the president. It depends on how you execute it. I am talking on behalf of NEIP, and this is exactly what we are doing. We are executing and we're making sure there are no stones unturned. That's it.
Let's look at what I get if I apply for this, because I'm interested now. Is it too late to apply?
No, it's I like that. Sorry, what's your name again?
Lily.
Lily, it's not too late.
Okay.
As I said, we opened the portal in last Friday, and it's still open to 12 midnight on the 16th of August.
Okay.
So everybody is allowed. Yes, you can do that. Once you finish with me, you can start applying.
And it's just an idea I must have, an idea that should be able to employ people. Is that it?
Absolutely. An idea to be able to employ people, to be able to create jobs, to make employment. You don't create jobs when the jobs are, when there's no employment. You create jobs for people to work. So it should be a vicious cycle.
Let's talk about this year's pitch. I mean, this will be like the grand finale, because this will be the president's last one.
Yes, for the president.
Yes.
But for Bawumia, no.
It'll be a continuum.
Precisely.
But for President Akufo-Addo, this will be his finale. What difference does this one make to him and for the NEIP?
The difference is great, and it sends out. It's slightly a bit sentimental. Would I want to put the word emotional? Because he actually started it, and he's going to leave office when the next election. So we want to make it grand and to appreciate the good efforts that he actually put into the youth of this country. That shows. I mean, that is the beef of the whole thing. We're going to make it so grand that everybody.
Will you be increasing the numbers then, since it's the president's sort of goodbye?
No, it maintains the same. The old traditions are maintained. If you like.
So how many people win? Just one person?
Sorry?
How many people win the pitch?
Oh, we had 10 people that won the pitch. First, second, third, up to the 10th. Then we've got 10 runners up. Right.
So 20. Okay.
But if I can be very specific here, what happened? There is always a call. There's a call for the applications, and a selection of 30 applicants. 30 applicants. There'll be a selection of 30 applicants. Then the training of all the 30 applicants. We'll train them. You know.
Oh, you train them?
Yes, we train them.
Over how many months? How many years? How many weeks period?
Basically, from the 16th of October right up to the 23rd, and that's about 7 days. Yes, 1 week of serious, intense training. Okay. Then there's also a selection of the top 15. That's for the quarterfinals. Then selection of the 10. That's for the semifinals. Then obviously we go for the grand finals. So we start with 30 and save them up to 10 for the grand finals.
Okay. So the 10 runners up, do they also get access to funds?
Yes, please.
Okay. How much is involved?
No, the government have actually invested 3 million Ghana cedis into these young ones. Amazing. Amazing.
So if I go into this pitch, how much money? If I win, I mean, well, I will win. how much money am I assured of to start my business?
That will be determined by my superiors.
Okay.
Yes.
But the previous, the fourth edition, how much?
We had about 50,000, 50,000, 30,000, 40,000. It all depends. It all depends on your grade. First, second, third, and fourth. You don't expect the person who had a third to be in the same category of dispensation of the money with the first contestant.
That's
it's actually graded.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one, second, so the money reduces with your position.
Precisely.
Okay. So, but the highest is 50,000.
Yeah, but nobody knows who will be first and who will be second. Nobody knows what who you are and whether you are NDC or MPP or you were an Ekwape like myself or Igbe or Ga. Nobody knows. You fill in the application forms, you submit it on the online, and basically we scale it and look at the criteria of it, and basically we come up with them. We come up with a selection of those who are supposed to be on a 30, and that's what it is. I mean, there's no favoritism. No selection of who you are, male or female, nothing, absolutely nothing.
Do you get to see these applicants when they apply?
No.
The 30. So when you pick the 30, do you get to see them?
Yes, we invite them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So you'll be invited. You don't know. You'll be there, and they'll call you Anne-Marie or Kofi, blah blah blah. Excited. You applied. You've qualified to be in the first 30, and that's where the selection starts. Then we sieve them down to the 10. Which is the grand finale.
What will make someone not make it to the final cut?
What will
make someone not make it to the final cut?
It's a very easy question, but very difficult. The thing is that I always try to encourage people. I don't try to discourage people in this sort of agenda. What happens is that you must be very innovative. Your business must be very, very, very innovative. It has to be feasible. It has to be scalable. All these things are the things that we require. So if you don't have any of them, then you probably not be able to be there.
So the portal is open. What's the application portal?
The application portal is www.neipgov.gh.
Okay.
So let me repeat that again,
Please
if you don't mind, because that's the most important thing. It's www.neip.gov.gh. Now, what actually happens is that you click onto this, once you get this, it sets you moving. You can still apply all the various questions that you may ask. You apply them, then you submit. Then you get an SMS alert to tell us that we've received your application. Once we've done that, then you are solely, your application is solely accepted. Then we'll go through at that. Now, on top of that, if you are not able to do that through that as well, and there's a telephone number which is, sorry, you could bear with me for a minute. And the telephone number is 0543 377 670. The other alternative is that you can get through. Don't forget that it's going to be a very busy line. If you're able not to get through, if you can make way to the NEIP.
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So I can walk into NEIP offices and fill out a paper?
No, you cannot fill out a paper.
Okay.
You can come to the NEIP for assistance as regards to filling in everything is done online.
It's paperless.
It's paperless. And that's why, you understand, Dr. Abraham.
Yeah, the digitalization agenda.
Yeah, this is all digitalization. Why is I going to make back?
Anyway, Kofi, it's been great having you.
You too.
So please, for all those of us who are interested in business, young people who have great ideas, there's an opportunity for you to get some funding, 50,000 cedis or could it be more?
Probably more.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't know the right figure, but you are definitely going to be funded and also given a training to be able to move your business to higher heights.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Kofi Chumboafo. He's a communications specialist with the NEIP. We take a quick break here. When we return, we'll do a bit more. We'll do some celebrations. We'll see what's happening in the tech world, and then we're out of here.
This time actually is Afro Community Family Weekend. Yes,
okay.
Because we are switching from just the trade exhibition to a family fun weekend with an exhibition. So Afro Community Trade Exhibition is mainly an initiative by She Community Ghana, which has been running for close to a decade now. We are creating ready business markets, ready platforms for local businesses to sell their products, their services. There are so many amazing entrepreneurs, as I always say, in Ghana, who are not known. And there are lots too who are in their corners that people are patronizing products from outside of Ghana instead of getting what they have, because what they have are amazing. So this is something we decided to do to ensure that Ghanaian local businesses are getting out there. You don't always have to be in your corner. There may be some potential clients that are out there looking for you to buy your products or patronize your services. So this is what we have been doing all through the years to ensure that local businesses are getting further. What will make this one different?
I see Family Weekend. Does it mean that the businesses must be family oriented?
Not really. So as I said, we wanted to actually do a family event, something that would, looking at the system now, everywhere is hot. People don't even have time to spend with families, go out, do all those fun things with their children, their husbands, their wives, their friends. So initially, we decided to do something that had to do with families. But we said, okay, why don't we kill two birds with a stone? Creating an avenue to promote local businesses while we focus on our goal of ensuring that families are having some time to spend. So that's how come we blended the two. So it's going to be a lot of fun time, fun activities, and an opportunity to promote local businesses.
Let's talk about these activities.
Okay, so with the family side, there are going to be a lot of family games, a lot of exciting activities, prizes from our sponsors, some of our sponsors to these families. There's going to be a lot of food, a lot of drinks, great music, you know. And then with the exhibition side, we're going to be selling. The fun aspect of this selling, which is different from the regular ones that we do, is that we are giving this up to 50% discount for the families that are coming there. So for your children, for yourself, for your friends, your loved ones, you want souvenirs, you can buy from us At this event, up to about 50%. Yeah.
Which companies are exhibiting at this event?
We have close to 60 businesses that are exhibiting, ranging from clothing, accessories, shoes, food, drinks, services, different kinds of services that you can access. I mean, the products are vast. As I'm saying, we have about 60 of them. So it's a vast variety of products and services.
What do I need to get access to this event?
This event is free for everybody. So if you're attending, it's absolutely free. You just have to come in. Good Park, where we are having this event at Accra Mall, usually charges if you want to come inside. But for this particular event, you get to enter for free. All you need to do is to come, have fun. Maybe you pay for the games that you're going to play, pay for what you're going to buy, but for every other thing, you enjoy it for free. Yes.
I love freebies. I don't know about other people. I love freebies. You mentioned Accra Mall. Is that the venue? When is it?
Okay, so the program starts on 9th, 9th, which is this Friday, to 11th, which is Sunday, at Accra Mall, Good Park. Usually Accra Mall is packed, so there's no space for events. And then when we tell people, oh, we are having this event at Accra Mall, they go like, which part of Accra Mall? So Accra Mall, because they have the crowd, they have created a place for us at Accra Mall, on the premises, on the car park, the upper part of Accra Mall, where we have these events. So the event is happening not outside Accra Mall, as a lot of people think, but it is inside Accra Mall, on the car park. There's a place called Good Park. When you enter Accra Mall, you see the big signboard, Good Park. That's where we'll be having it. And it's from 9th to 11th.
So it's a
Friday.
So it's a weekend where everybody's at home.
Yeah,
sure. So you can come with your children.
Definitely.
Are there products for children? The people who are exhibiting, are they exhibiting products that are children-centered?
Absolutely. And we even have a DIY craft session, DIY craft station, where children can go, adults can go learn new skills within the shortest possible time. You can just go and learn how to do your own beads. You can go and learn how to do makeup for free. You can go and learn how to do painting. Just something quick. You just enter there. It is absolutely free. They are teaching kids a lot of interesting and exciting things. So when the children come, as you're shopping, you're going through, they're also there learning something for the weekend.
So you know that from Friday through till Sunday, Accra Mall, Good Park is the place to be. For yourself, you can come with your families, you can come with your friends. Everybody's invited. It's free. You get up to 50% discount. So that's a good thing. And then there are a lot of freebies. Do they win prizes as well?
Yes, so because we are going to be having a lot of family games.
Okay.
Yes, so all these exciting family games, I don't know their names though, but these exciting family games that they play, you see some playing them on social media and stuff. Yeah, you play, you get prizes. We have prizes from some of our sponsors, MTN Ghana and all of those people.
Okay. All right. So this weekend, let's go have some fun and buy some new products for ourselves and our families. Philippa Prempeh is the CEO for the She Community Ghana. That's it for the show. My name is Lily Mohammed. I'll catch you on the flip side. I say this all the time. I sit here and do all the talking, but the real work goes on behind the scenes, camera, sound, light, and floor. My producers, directors, thank you very much, and thank you to you. Have a great day. I'll see you at 11:30.